name is Aya Salah. I'm a McGill graduate. I'm currently a high school science teacher and I love teaching. I teach teenagers, fun fact. People think I am a teenager. And I love poetry, spoken word, painting, reading a lot, and just really chilling with my family, spending time in the park as we clearly are doing right now. My first and foremost identity, I think, is being a Muslim. And the terminology of being a Muslim is someone who submits to God. The basic testimony of faith is there's only one God and Muhammad is his final prophet. So I believe in Jesus and Moses and all those cool characters in the past. I am Canadian. It took me a while to really feel Canadian, but because ever since I was growing up, elementary school, I always felt like there was something still different about me. So, you know, when I was maybe much younger, maybe that was kind of not the best thing, but now I think like everything worked out for the best, and I'm really proud to embrace my Palestinian heritage. That totally came out when I learned our authentic folk dance called Debke. That's when I felt that Palestinianness was in my blood, and I clung to that very deeply. My favorite food is also wara dawari, which is vine grape leaves, and you put like meat and rice inside of them and you roll them up, and we actually go out and we pick these leaves. You know, it takes like 3 hours to make this stuff and pick it, but honestly, totally worth the wait. Okay, well, what it is to be Palestinian can be ever changing as events unfold within Palestine itself. But what it is to be Muslim is something that is sort of stable. It's the foundation of what I stand on. So, you know, being Muslim is all about faith and trusting in God, and that doesn't change. It may fluctuate. Sometimes you feel like you have a higher level of faith in something. Sometimes you feel maybe spiritually lower. However, that is the foundation on which I stand. Being Palestinian is a bonus and a plus, and definitely a part of me. And I don't think it's necessarily contradicting with Islam at all. They just sort of make each other nicer and better. There is a saying that Islam is like a river of flowing water, and whichever land it goes on, it will take its color. In other words, Islam is not limited to a particular nationality or culture, but it flows over anything that it goes with. So Islam can be as Palestinian as it can be as Canadian, as it can be in Saudi Arabian, as it can be anywhere, anything else around the world. To be Palestinian and to be Canadian, it's just to be. I can't explain it. It's just who I am. I can't define it. I can't describe it to you. It's just this product right here. So every Palestinian in Canada has their own version of what it means to be Palestinian in Canadian society. I know that definitely when I'm in Canada, I feel very Palestinian, and when I'm in Palestine, I feel much more Canadian. I know that I don't feel equally Palestinian and Canadian. Whichever identity takes more of a stronghold usually depends on where I am and which group of people I'm surrounded with. So it's interesting that the people that are most like you, for instance, if I'm with a group of Palestinians, I will tend to feel a little more Canadian, maybe because my Palestinian dialect is not as precise, or I don't share the exact same life experiences as they do, but I identify with both identities equally. Is someone who puts up with like 9 months of winter and decides that that's a wonderful way of living and ain't gonna complain about it. Loves maple syrup, loves the society that we live in, loves multiculturalism. I love diversity in people. I love the freedom that I have here. That is definitely one of the most wonderful things about Canadian society. Okay, so definitely to be Canadian is to want to identify yourself with Canada, but also wanting the best for this country. So you want justice for this country, you want freedom, you want dignity for everyone that's living here, whether they identify themselves as Canadian or not. So I think that's a very important value for a Canadian to have, is that they want what's best for Canada in and of itself. I don't necessarily, but I feel like there may be slight clashes with embracing everything that is remotely Arabic tinted and Islam. For example, I don't do the whole shisha hookah smoking thing. I don't believe in damaging my health and lungs for that matter. Although it makes a very nice, centerpiece, but I wouldn't use it. There's not a clash, although many people and often media will be trying their best to make you think so, okay? Because there's often this threat that if you're too Muslim, then you're not Canadian enough, and you might rebel against Canada itself, and you're not going to be a loyal citizen, and all those empty fears, basically. So I don't think there's any conflict. Just as I said, there was no conflict with being Muslim and Palestinian. To be Palestinian is someone who was either born in Palestine or comes from parents that were there. Same thing in Canada. To be Canadian is someone who lives in Canada, has Canadian citizenship. Where you live and what you believe in, I don't see why they can't coexist. But yeah, it almost feels like when our government might do or support things that go against my faith, like oppression in other countries or occupation here, occupation there, then that's when I feel like Canada is at odds with Islam, but not necessarily being a Canadian in and of itself.